Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Beards, which may be on a new day, and we're definitely recording at a new time. And my name is HSR.
That was so sudden.
It was
you
sudden.
Started just like, bam.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Syd.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm a little taken aback.
He wasn't aware we were doing this now.
It's been a minute since I've been here, so I'm a little out of practice.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Syd had great things happen in his life, which required us to have to just figure out a new time to do this. We are definitely not going anywhere.
But we might be sending more classic albums your way, so it's time to request.
But first...
I'm sorry, housekeeping.
Favorite comment of last week, dude?
Speaking of requests...
this is from Patrick Ives, and the last review we did was on Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Yep.
And he said, can you guys review Dookie by Green Day? Yes, at some point. We will definitely review that.
And I'm going to push for Sooner Than Later because I love that album.
It's a great album. It's one of the few I bought when I was a teenager.
Me too. Secondhand.
I think I got it new. I'd also like to hear your thoughts on Disintegration by The Cure. I'll be honest, I've never listened to The Cure, so I'm open-minded and down to check that shit out.
Yeah, Green Day.
So thanks. But yeah, on that note, just to let you know who we are a bit, we review these albums track by track. You'll get to the albums later. But we are not necessarily the most professional whatevers. We're just sharing our opinions, so we understand that there are going to be people who watch this who know more than us, etc., etc. So just take anything we have to say with a grain of salt, and just to give you an idea of who we are before we get into it. And we care about your feedback, as Syd said. We want your request. It's very important.
We also have
the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. Now, it's kind of fun to say this because we're at 984 as of recording this.
16 more.
Which means if you hit that subscribe button, that makes us 15 more, and then 15 more people will do it because we're even closer. And then you like the video and you leave a comment describing the album, our review, something to start a conversation. You enter into a raffle. And in that raffle, we are giving away a $100 Amazon gift card to somebody, plus you get to request a review from us of whatever you want with whomever you want from the channel. Second prize is $50 Amazon gift card plus the review, and third prize is $25 gift card plus the review. And for every video of ours that you like and comment on, it's an extra entry into the raffle. We have a request list if you look below. All of those requests, if you go through the videos, you will see them in comments that people have asked for because I've been going through all of the comments and putting that together. And the reason for that is because when we do bust past 1,000, we're going to go on YouTube Live, pull up that list. We're going to fucking use a random number generator, pick some people because we're ghetto like that. I'll holler at you. You give me your email. I send you money. Life is fucking peachy.
RNG. I just want to say, please, if you are going to comment, make it something productive and contribute to the conversation. You can swear all you want. You can insult us as long as you're talking about something that we talked about in the video.
Yeah, if we fucking suck for something, let us know. That's cool. But, if you tell us to suck on our ponytails, that's just a little bit weird, because that's a real thing that happened once.
Really?
Yeah, that was a real comment recently.
I mean, points for creativity, I guess.
Yeah, that was it. But you see, it's not a very useful comment. But y'all don't care about that. Y'all care about something in particular. Mr. Sydney, why don't you introduce the album?
Today, we are reviewing one of my favorite albums from one of my favorite bands ever. City of Evil by Avenged Sevenfold.
All right, so how we like to start this is a little bit of context setting. So, Sydney, tell us about how you know Avenged Sevenfold, the kind of fan you are, how you know this album, etc. Go.
So, I discovered Avenged Sevenfold while I was on vacation in Europe, visiting family. A little island called Malta, which is close to Sicily.
Hey.
Look it up. Fascinating history. Anyway.
It is a very fascinating company that's a tax haven to a lot of businesses right now. Okay, go on.
Country.
Yeah, the country.
Not company.
The country of Malta is a tax haven for companies. And that's a real thing because they don't charge a lot of taxes. So companies set up their headquarters in Malta. Yeah. And that's a real thing.
They're super cool. They're like the size of an airplane. Anyway, so I was there and I picked up a magazine. And on the cover of that magazine was Avenged Sevenfold. And this was about a year after Waking the Fallen had come out. No! Sorry! The way I discovered them was through Pure Volume. I'm sorry. Volume control, hold in later.
It's fine.
The way I discovered them was through Pure Volume. Mad. If you guys remember Pure Volume...
I do not.
Okay. It was like a MySpace for musicians around
I now
the same
remember
time as MySpace.
I now do.
they had a Pure Volume page, and I discovered them, and I heard Chapter 4 and Unholy Confessions, I think, were the 2 songs online on that, and I fucking loved it. I fell in love with Avenged Sevenfold right then and there. And then I picked up this magazine and saw that they were working on a new record, and I was super excited. And I remember watching Backcountry come out, and then City of Evil coming out, and then the rest of the world kind of catching on to like, oh my god, this band is amazing. So that's the one band I think I could say I was an OG fan of before they got super famous.
Are you still a fan?
I am still very much a fan. I love Avenged Sevenfold. I've seen them live numerous times. They are...
Do you have a tattoo of them?
I don't.
I heard. Do they still do the thing with the free show if you have a tattoo?
Do they?
I know that they used to, because some girl I was seeing for a minute was telling me all about it or showing me her tattoo. And apparently... if you had a tattoo, you just got to go to all their shows for free. Now, don't like...
If you had, like, the death bat?
If you had any Avenged Sevenfold tattoo, because it's a great measure of brand loyalty. Like, even Harley Davidson measures their success in tattoos.
That makes sense for both of those.
So, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, that's that. So, you're a fan. You like those guys. You're into them. I'm not saying I'm not. I just have a different relationship with Avenged Sevenfold. So, I can remember... being in CEGEP, that's Canadian College before university, and I was hearing this guy, I think his name's Santino, go on about how the last real metal album ever written was Avenged Sevenfold, City of Evil. Now, that's his
funny.
quote. This is some 10 years ago shit, okay? That quote stood out to me, and I've never forgotten it, which is weird, but that's how the mind works. And, like... I didn't really listen to the album and stuff because I wasn't really wise yet enough to approach metal with an open mind. I moved on, and then at some point I came across it and I listened to it, and a couple of the songs, like nothing. It didn't really hit me. Then the NHL game that had Backcountry on it came out, and I listened to Backcountry so many times because of the NHL game that I went from, like, I didn't really like it much because NHL games have a tendency to kill songs.
Huh.
Then one day, for me at least, like if you're not, like sometimes it's just a weird mix to play hockey and hear Backcountry, you know, or whatever. Or maybe it was like a racing game or something if it's the wrong game.
No, it was on NHL. I remember that vividly.
So like, and then like time went on, and then I finally sat down and listened to the album. And musically, it was one of the most amazing things I'd ever heard. And this was years back. And I really dug a couple of the tracks, and like I just fucking loved them for like life. Like, how can you not like Seize the Day? Like, I can tell you that while heartbroken over a girl, Seize the Day is a magical freaking song to get into. And like, you can't help but like know like I know parts of all of the songs, like the parts that like I made out, because for like the one time in my musical history, I didn't care what was being said. I just loved the music. Like I did. Like if you watch us at all, you know that I don't normally talk a lot about the music. I focus a lot on the lyrics because that's what I care the most about. But Avenged Sevenfold, this one album was magical. Then the next album dropped, and A Little Piece from Heaven was the most magical thing I'd ever heard. I don't care what anyone says. That video is amazing. That song is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And then they fell off my radar. I knew that the Rev passed away, rest in peace and all that. No disrespect. I knew that happened.
Okay, I'm going to jump back in here because this is cool. So, I mean, it's not cool that he passed away. That sucks.
Absolutely not.
But the record that they came out with after, for those of you who may not have followed Avenged Sevenfold that far, Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater is the drummer on that record because he respected the Revs so much. And you think of Mike Portnoy, he's like this iconic drummer, right? Like he's one of the best drummers in the world, bar none, hands down, undisputed. And he respected the Rev so much because the Rev was just like this virtuosic talent. So he agreed right away to jump in and play on this record. And he delivers an amazing performance. It sounds not quite identical to the Rev, like he paid tribute without trying to sound too much like him. So it's really cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Then Hail to the King happened, and I think they're still apologizing for it. But
and then my coworker who sits right next to me told me all about how she feels that the last album is amazing. It was a real return to form. I should check it out. It's a concept album. That's what she likes. So that's what happened with that. And then we decided to review City of Evil because the new albums were not sustaining our old asses, and we had to go back to what we felt was like the kind of the meat of our musical preferences, we'll say. Plus, you guys seem to care more about this than the new albums. Is all we're saying. So if you guys want us to do new albums again,
send us some requests.
Let us know what
we
new
did
albums.
The Oasis, that was fun.
So yeah, and if you do see like an album coming out this year that you particularly want to see us cover, the comments are there and all that. But let's start getting into this little conversation a little more in detail. How do you feel about the title, and how do you feel about the album cover?
I mean, look, it's just everything about this record was meant to represent heavy metal, right? So the album cover, you've got this like skull-headed dude on like a horse of fire holding like a flaming sword.
Super beautiful, vibrant colors.
Super beautiful, vibrant. Like the style is just, it was so 2006. It was really 2006, but at the same time, I think it stands the test of time as one of the most wildly over-the-top and amusing album covers that's ever been at least in hard rock. At least in hard rock and metal.
This might sound ignorant, but it makes me feel like the colorful, cartoony nature of something like, I think, Iron Maiden's album covers were super colorful and shit like that.
Yeah, very much like Iron Maiden, Megadeth.
I don't actually know what Megadeth's albums look like.
They both have mascots.
Okay.
Iron Maiden has Eddie, and Megadeth has, I don't remember his name, but he's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. He's also a skeleton.
Okay.
But like his eyes are covered and his mouth is like barbed over.
Yeah,
and he's on all of their album covers. So it was an homage to those characters.
Okay, that's sick.
Yeah.
And I mean, City of Evil is just a cool title.
It's just a cool title. And again, it's a homage to heavy metal and just ridiculous over the top albums like. But like even just to add to that, given the biblical nature of their name, like, right,
it really just kind of like, you just get the idea that you're gonna get some good old meat with those potatoes today. You know, like it's one of those few titles that it doesn't say a lot about what you're gonna get, but it kind of piques your appetite and makes you really want to go in.
It's albums like Number of the Beast, Children of the Grave, South of Heaven, like those metal titles that just personified evil, but like cartoony evil. And relished in that ridiculousness.
All right, so you could say that what they really enjoyed is partying with a beast and a harlot. Sydney, why don't you start us off and talk about the song?
So in high school, I learned 2 guitar solos. I learned the solo from American Idiot, and I learned the intro solo to Beast and the Harlot. Because it's all on one string, and it's super easy. Yeah, I fucking love this song. Words cannot describe how much love I have for this song.
But try to use words, because it's a podcast.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best riffs, one of the best opening riffs ever written on a metal album. It's just crazy all over. Like, you get a real sense of what the album is going to be like. Just heavy riffs, crazy solos, lots of ridiculous drumming, big choruses, lots of harmonies. And the thing that's cool about Avenged Sevenfold is like live, they're kind of all singing because there's so many vocal parts going on in this record. And like live, they can't really reproduce the songs on this record. This is another fun fact. They dumbed down their songs for later records because they weren't able to, because there's like 6 different guitar tracks going at any given time, right? And they just can't do that. They don't have enough band members. And they don't like playing to backing tracks. They don't. So the songs from this record sound really empty when they're played live. But like, it's just a compositional lightning in the bottle. There's so much melody, so many hooks. It's heavy, it's catchy. The lyrics are ridiculous, over the top. It's about the whore of Babylon, but like, again, playing on heavy metal trope to write biblical lyrics and biblical stories. Yeah. Sorry, I'm ranting. I love this record, man.
What'd you give it?
Oh yeah, fucking 5 on 5, as if that wasn't obvious.
Well, it's worth stating. So yeah, I dig this track. The first thing was I never noticed the suppressed scream that's in the mix in the beginning before the song actually picks up.
Really?
I just never noticed it before.
Man.
So I wanted to point it out that I noticed that, and it was really well done because it's totally like a full-powered scream, but like they mixed it in so beautifully, and it's
holding the same note as the end of that guitar solo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but then yeah, for me, like, I mean, as far as the music goes, it's really all over the place and in the best possible way. So, I mean, what I noticed is, we'll get into it a bit later on, but there's almost a structure to how they make these songs. There's the elaborate intro, then you got your varied degree of verse chorus structuring. Between like everything, there's going to be random musical interludes. I don't want to necessarily call them solos, because sometimes they're solos, but sometimes they're just other stuff. Like they just pivot the song in a whole new direction and stuff. And yeah, so you have that going on, and it's just like this brilliant clusterfuck of adventure. Like you really, when the song ends, even without the lyrics or anything, the singing, you don't actually know what the fuck just happened, because you really just want to, like, the song has a very cinematic feel to it as well. And all of the songs on this album could be like almost movies within themselves.
Yeah.
So given their length, that's really important, because they're all fucking long. This is one of the longest albums I've ever seen at 11 minutes. And I know there's longer ones, but as far as like reviewing them since I've been doing this, crazy long. But like, you never get bored. You almost don't feel the time passing. Sometimes you go and you check the song length and it's only halfway through, and that makes you happy because you don't even know what's going to come next. But then you get to the lyrics and they're not stupid. So that's the first thing is like, because sometimes like lyrics might be over the top, but they're just kind of nonsense, or they don't say anything, or they're like, there's no meat, right? Like there's no message to it. But it is a really interesting perspective piece on the falling of the city of Babylon, reinterpreted from the book of Revelations, which I've read a whole bunch. So I was like, I get this shit.
Yeah.
And so I connected really, because they're coming from a place of research, not from a place of ignorance. And I really appreciated that.
The thing you got to understand about Avenged Sevenfold too, right, is that they are Southern American church fed boys, right? Like their name comes from the Bible. So they know this shit.
Which I know, but like it's cool to see that they respect it and they're not shitting on it. Whereas a lot of other people would just shit on it.
Right.
And
they're telling the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like she's a dwelling place for demons right away. And it's written in a way where it's obvious, but only if you know what you're listening for, right? She's a dwelling place for demons. She's a cage for every unclean spirit. Every filthy bird makes, you guys know the words to that. It's just what I never realized, and why I quoted this is, I know she's a dwelling, the demons part. She's a cage for every unclean spirit. I never realized he just keeps going. Like it's almost like a fucking rap verse. Like for every unclean spirit, every filthy bird that makes us drink the poison wine with fornicate, and you're just like, that's a sick cadence that he's maintaining and adding to it in a way that I don't see done very often. And
like the later part where it goes, I don't believe in fairy tales and no one wants to go to hell. You made the wrong decision.
Yes.
Now it's easy.
Because that's really cool, because it's a little bit of a perspective shift. It's kind of like the folk responding a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You almost feel like the townspeople with their torches and shit fighting back against the condemnation of the protagonist telling this story, and pointing out a little bit of their stance too, because if you think about what they're saying there, it's, I don't believe in fairy tales and no one wants to go to hell. So it's kind of like responding to the religious culture. So here's almost the part where they're inserting their position into the story, and they did it on a few songs, and they did it so cleverly that I thought it was worth pointing out. We've made the wrong decision, and it's easy to see now. If you want to serve above or be a king with us, you're welcome to the city. Your future is set forever.
Be a king below with us.
Whatever.
Here's me for the first time correcting you on lyrics.
I don't. My bad. I'm like, whatever. Semantics. But like at the end of the day, the point of what this is saying is, it's kind of like, we've already fucked up. We're already in this sinful fucking place. We know where we're at. We understand our future. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's almost like a blatant response to the people trying to be pure with it. And I really love the contrast. I mean, the day has come for all us sinners. If you're not a servant, you'll be struck to the ground. Flee the burning, greedy city. But at the same time as he's saying this, the music is playing out in a way that, like, you picture everything happening, all right? Yeah. And I know I'm raving a bit like Syd, but this is a 5. Like, this is a single. It's a single that manages to be pure and holy in its quality. See what I did there?
But again, it drives me nuts because all of the single versions on this album are super cut,
and they're
all missing sections. Listen to the album versions. Just if you're checking out Avenged Sevenfold for the first time, and you are checking this album because one of your friends raved to you about it, listen to the album versions of Backcountry, Beast and the Harlot. Because
honestly, I'm gonna just chime in and go, I didn't like Backcountry until I heard the full version recently. We'll get there because it's soon. But anyway, let's move on, if you don't mind, to Burn It Down.
Let's burn it down.
I just got to say, it's super impressive how different it sounds while following pretty much the same structure that was put together in the first song, but being so different and so alive that it just works. It's just a completely new experience, which I have to give a lot of props to. You like this one?
I mean, look, this song has a lot of nostalgic value for me too. The only thing that's always really bothered me about this song is his delivery in the chorus. It's, I can't trust anyone. It was just, and he had just come off of vocal lessons from the same guy who taught Axl Rose, I believe. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, but his name's all over the Wikipedia page if you're curious.
Yeah. So he gave, as far as I'm concerned, a very, very solid vocal performance on this record. Just that one chorus is so whiny. But I mean, look, again, this song is full of hooks. It's as compositionally, it's as well crafted as any of the rest of the songs on this record. And what's cool is the deviation towards the end. They kind of like they go really sugary with the chorus and with the hook for a second, and then like falling away, can't fight back time.
Can buy back
down time anyway.
Yeah.
And then you kind of hear the guitar start to go and it kind of slides right into the next track. But like it's a perfect switch. It's a perfect switch. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a 4.6 on this track because I love it. But all these years, it's the one thing I couldn't forgive, I think.
I feel like your first thing is this one. I mean, so I like the melodic intro part before it like picks up and heavy, and I think it's a cool contrast, and I really like when they do that shit because it makes you just want to hear the rest of the song, and again, it picks you up in that I don't know what's gonna happen next feeling, and maybe I just come from that like no focus generation, but this is an album for motherfuckers who believe they have ADHD.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say.
And so I also really like the dingy drum bit. I don't fully know what the dingy drum bit meant, but that's what I wrote down because there was a certain part where the drums flip up and I really enjoyed them. Yeah. But I kind of had it, whatever. So then, yeah, something like that. So,
you probably like the ride cymbal. There's a lot of ride cymbal going on in this song.
Yeah. So, I also just kind of felt, but thematically, I appreciate this track, and right, like I could see how like 10 years ago I would be totally empathizing with it, but I suppose I'm a little older and wiser. So it's like Buddy has been betrayed and is lashing out with like wordings like "don't fuck with me," and that's basically what this whole song is like you fucked me over once. Don't fuck with me. And I really, really dig how when we do get to our third verse, as he's kind of accepting that he shall not be fucked with, that the music is super triumphant. And it's almost like an entirely new song has been juxtaposed into this before flipping back into the sugary chorus. And so for that, I thought it was pretty cool. I like how it also, in that third verse, it has a perspective shift. And I really enjoy when excellent perspective shifts happen. What I mean is it goes from I to we, because in the whole song he's been an I, he's been a lonely, isolated soul, he's been kind of broken, he's been not feeling super good. And then by the end, I'm assuming he's now with the band and he's popping and shit's whatever, let's just say, that's my imagination plugging, but it's now a we. It's now he's no longer alone, but this person is not longer with the clique. The lyrics are super emo. I don't mean like emo
it is
like
one of the more emo tracks.
I don't mean that to anyone who like the genre of music that is emo. No, I mean like the lyrical, like they make me feel like whiny emo, like stereotypical, like what you would picture if you're not a super music nerd that knows all the genres, right?
Because you got it. They come from the SoCal scene, right?
Yeah, which is, it's no disrespect, but like for the most part, it's like, you know, I can't relate to a lot, but I do like when he goes, need no one comply with me through everyone that I defeat, don't need you, fuck camaraderie, this rage will never go away. Like, I like it, and it's a good sample of the tone of this song, but I'm 30 now, so the rage isn't quite the same, and it's hard to, like, to get into it to the same degree, I guess what I'm trying to say.
But the thing about it's there's a lot of lyrics in a row, and the way they deliver the vocals on vocals on vocals on vocals is so freaking catchy.
Is this the one with the underneath the one singing line, or is that the next one? No, that's the next one. I apologize. I just got confused there. I mean, I know I've listened to the album a lot this week, but like outside of the last year, I haven't listened to the album that much. Anyway, I give it a 4.5 on 5. It is less good than Beast and the Harlot, so it didn't seem right to give it a 5. But it is extremely well made. and really enjoyable. And like I would have no problems listening to it again. It's just not as good as Beast and the Harlot, so I couldn't give it the same grade. Otherwise, it would devalue my 5. So I guess you could say I'm blinded in chains. Yeah, this is another fun one. All right, do you like this song, Syd?
I do. I like this song a lot. This song is one of the best drum performances, I think, metal drum performances I think I've ever heard on a record.
Okay.
Yeah, this song, this is a song that has been, I think, in every playlist I've ever made for everyday life, on every device that plays music that I've ever had. It's one of the first songs that I go and add.
Okay.
There's not much more I can say about it, man.
I have a whole ton to say.
You go. This is a 5
What'd you
for
give
me.
it? 5? Okay.
Yeah.
I have never paid attention to the lyrics before. See, that's something that's really big on this album. So a lot of this is like the first time I'm hearing what these songs are about, even if I knew the music well. And Rat It Again, I Turn Around Another Fucking War, man. I don't know where to begin, but I'll start with the radical leaders and the steps we're following. Now, apparently, this is about the Republicans and the Democrats in the White House and not about literal war. And if you read the rest of the song with that in mind, it's really interesting, even if it's not true. Because, yeah, we're still at war with the Republicans and the Democrats in 2018 and stuff. So that also made it like fucking interesting to read this shit. And so it's super political. And it's got like lines like running, don't go back, and fight too many you'll lose. But at the same time, because he sings that line over like a significant period of time, and he's going, and as the clowns will take away the step because it's in sight, and you take the left and I will take the right, left, right, politics. I felt the hate you've built for me. Everyone eventually will take the step because it's in, oh no, I said that already. And I say pay attention, baby, whatever. So it's clearly got this like political tones, this aggression, like you've seen the turmoil going on. If they had their way, I'd burn in hell, and your future's a fucking disaster. Can't you see? Don't give them all the power when your future's in desperate trouble, baby. And if you really think about like what he's saying there, it's very much like, be careful, stuff like what actually happened will happen. And it was like a warning. And when you really look back at these songs from even like, let's say 14 years ago, and you see how like it's so relevant today, it just honestly makes you take your hat off to which one of the guys wrote this one. I know the Rev wrote some. I know the other ones wrote other ones. So
lyrics-wise?
Yeah. I know that it was split writing according to the writing credits I was looking at.
Okay. I don't know.
But I don't remember which song wrote which one. So if y'all know, let me know. And if I'm wrong, please be nice in the comments. I know you guys are bigger fans than I am. I also dug when it's like, most would claim I live a lie when pointing out it's easy to predict these days. Every color has its side. They live together, vote, and most embrace these same dark times. And that's fucking interesting.
Please help us.
But that's still interesting because it's also like, if you really think about the last election in particular, that is such a poignant and like accurate statement where like, well, evidently he could predict it because he did, so good on you. And he's right, though, that at the end of the day, we're all just kind of like people and shit. And then, like, I like how it just ends, like, fucking bluntly. Like, he's just as blind as everyone else, and he's just as fucking useless.
Yeah, of course we lost control. We're all the same.
Yeah, be in front of our mic, dude.
Of course we lost control. We're all the same.
But, like, the part where he's, like, kind of acknowledging, I'm not really better than you, I'm just kind of pointing out my concerns, is a really good way to craft an argument. But I give it a 4.5 on 5, and I might reconsider that because, like, I felt like it was really great, but it wasn't, like, flawless great like I felt on some of the other ones. So I kind of stuck with that. I think they're all really amazing songs. I don't know. Do you have more to go on that one?
Let's enter Bad Country.
Let's do it. So, I'll be honest, a younger me, because Bad Country is one you know, actually thought that the quote at the beginning was written by them. And holy shit, did I discover that the Hunter S. Thompson fans, I believe, are far more hardcore than anything I'd ever encountered in my life. And
yes, this movie is a subculture.
I got schooled. So if you are one of those people, I watched the movie once a long time ago, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, to those who aren't sure what I'm talking about. And I know now that the song is an homage to said movie, and when I watch the music video now, remembering seeing that movie, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. That's just how I felt. It was very clear that I didn't get it. On the other hand, taking the song at face value without considering the movie is really interesting because it still says a lot of real shit about drug usage and addiction and shit. And I think that's what makes the song pretty remarkable. It's a hit that manages to touch on actual subject matter in a way that is not pretentious or dickish, you know? Like they come at it from the point of view of, I guess, Hunter S. Thompson's whatever, but like, can't you help me as I'm starting to burn too many doses and I'm starting to get an attraction. My confidence is leaving me on my own. No one can save me, and you know I don't want the attention. Now, if you really just think about that without considering the movie, it really describes every drug addict I've ever met in my life.
My hand is on the trigger. I'm ready to ignite. Tomorrow might not make it, but everything's all right.
Yeah, man. Or sometimes I don't know why we'd rather live than die. We look up toward the sky to our lives. We may get some solutions, but most just passed us by. Don't want your absolution because I can't make it right. I'll make a beast of myself. Gets rid of all the pain of being a man. And like those words are just, they're just heavy, right? Like this is, I mean, and knowing what happened to Mr. Thompson and understanding his perception on suicide and how it was almost like something that kept him sane because he could do it and then he did do it. And then you look at like these lyrics and you read them with that in mind almost, and you just read them without it. It's just, if you feel the desperation, you feel like there's just too much in the world that's just not okay or whatever. And it's easier to get lost in the substance, to make a beast of yourself, to, you know, to however you interpret that quote, but it's however you end up becoming that beast. And it's just, it's so relatable while still being so specific to his story. And that's brilliant as fuck, you know? Anyway, I love how high and spacey he starts sounding at a certain point to almost like imply
that middle part, right? Where
yeah.
The voice has like a really watery effect.
And like again. I don't know the word, but like he sounds like, and the lyrics kind of almost compensate it. But like, I've known it from the start. All these good ideas will tear you from the part. I think is that part. I might be wrong. And it's like, I'm too weird to live, but like much too rare to die. And if you really like look at the tone and everything, it almost sounds like he just got high. It just kicked in, and these are his like spaced out thoughts while he's in those like moments. And fuck, it's really strong. Yeah. Unfortunately, that NHL game played the fuck out of that shit, and I had to give it a 4.5 on 5 because I would have a lot of trouble listening to this with joy. But it's unfortunate that the song was cut short in that game, and it was just snippets of the chorus over and over again. Because hearing it in its full completion with the proper everything, it's so spaced, and it's like the chorus, it's a lot better. So what you were saying earlier makes total sense to me because I lived through how that almost ruined the song for me. Anyway,
I mean,
yeah, I'm good. You can talk now.
I mean, it's hard for me to find anything about, and I don't think I would have been able to shit on this song when it first came out either. I loved it then, but there's nothing, like, I can't find anything wrong with this song. Like, it's, and I'll tell this to people a lot because Sinister Gates, their lead guitarist, gets criticized a lot for not playing with any real soul, and I think that's a little bit unfair because he is one of the best melodic guitar solo writers, I think, in hard rock. And the solo for this song proves it because it's one of the most singable solos. Like, you play this song in a bar and people are going to be singing to the solo. Like, the whole bar will know the solo as much as they'll know the words and the chorus. And don't even get me started. Like, can't you help me as I'm starting to burn for alone? Like, there's so much, again, going on vocally, so many hooks, and it's just,
it's very good.
Everything is just wall of sound in your face all the time, but it's all so precise and so calculated, so well placed that it's just it's a fucking masterpiece. Like, this is a 5 on 5 for me.
Yep. So that
Trashed and Scattered though.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, so how you feel about this one?
Oh, we're back? All right.
We're back.
Here's another one. In high school, when I was feeling particularly annoyed about the posers and the sellouts, the little angry metalhead that I was, that chorus, I won't be the victim, but the first, what is it? How does it go?
I don't know if I wrote the chorus down.
Okay. Play your game and walk away. Your integrity don't mean shit.
Play your game.
I don't want to be a fucking parasite, and I'm gonna take you out. Like, this was the perfect angry song for me. The structure has always struck me as a little weird, but in a good way. Like, there's a couple of songs on this record where like there's kind of two choruses that kind of build walls on either side of the song, and they kind of dip through these ridiculous valleys of changes and transitions in between, which is really cool, and this song really personifies that well. And it goes to a lot of different places, and they're all really melodic again, and there's a lot of crazy twin guitar. Drumming is off the hook. Even the bass shines through. Fucking what's his name? Johnny Christ gets his chance to really shine on this track, and he's got this dirty tone, this like not really gainy, but just like really toothy. His bass is like really mean sounding, so that's really cool. And even like you hear the singer M Shadow's trying to hit those higher notes, and he kind of sometimes he goes falsetto, and sometimes he's kind of screaming it because they're really high. It's really high and it's really raw, and he's really giving it his all, and it all adds to this wonderful stew of just like anger and emotion. That's like, it's not the heaviest song ever, but it's one of the dirtiest with the most attitude. So I love that about it. And again, this is another 5 on 5 for me.
That's fair. So I feel like this is the punkiest jam on this record, and it instantly drew me in a little bit more, because I've always been a bigger fan of punk than I have been of metal. And I don't know, that's just me. And I really, really just feel this track, it's aggression. It's almost like the other one that was in a similar subject matter felt whiny. I believe
that was Burn It Down.
Blinded it. Burn It Down. It felt like whiny, whereas this one comes in and it feels more like a proper fucking I'm real. Fuck you. Fuck the haters. Almost like keep on writing. You're just raping yourself. Nothing can take my mind away from them because that's got like a back and forth going on.
That's it, and it's like it's so mean, but then it's so sweet. Nothing can take my mind.
And then don't you ask about me, ask about somebody else. Once I fall in, there's many stories to tell. I can feel it, want to embrace it. It's overwhelming how far you take it, stuck in a state of questioning. And don't you tell me you know we're destined. You won't convince me. I won't listen. And resentment building, you have put your lives on hold. And you just get like this real sense. Like, I've talked to those motherfuckers. You've talked to those motherfuckers. Hell, in some cases, you know, like, you have been that motherfucker that this guy is talking about. And that's what makes this song super cool, is the fucking, on top of the excellent, like, first of all, it's fast, right? So it takes, like, what they've done, and especially with the drumming, and speeds shit up a little bit. And then it's got this crazy aggression to it, which is awesome, because I don't think we've really seen that much raw aggression on this album.
No, and it's really interesting when you consider where they're coming from, right? Because they're coming from, like, Waking the Fallen, which was kind of an encyclopedia for everything extreme metal, but like brought forward to like a more polished, wider audience. So there was a lot of hooks, but it was still like there was a lot of black metal, there was a lot of death metal, there was a lot of there was a lot of that really gritty side of metal that really hasn't shone through on this. Like, they've completely switched the direction they took to songwriting, and then you hear this, and which kind of goes back to the old style a little bit, but in like a totally different way. Yeah,
and I think my really favorite part is how, like, kind of near the end you hear, "Feel your word, keep dying, don't try to get the best of me, but no one can help you but yourself." And like, it's really interesting how, after being almost petulant with the attacks the whole way through the songs, like, you waste your breath with fucking with me and shit, like, they're aggressive. All of a sudden, it's, but you can help yourself. Like, you are the person who needs to fix your shit. So they managed to go 99% of the way through in a certain way, and then make sure at the very end to drop in some knowledge nuggets from a motherfucker. Like, some real, inserting some truth into it, to go a little bit away from the expressiveness and into the final nail in the coffin. Like, you know what? And everything I said is true because it's your own fucking fault, biatch. You know, like, that's the kind of, like, tone it comes off. I get this a 5. I don't care if they want to write the whiny shit. If they deliver it like this, it is awesome. I had fucking rage to this any day of the week. This is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album, and I have to say one of, because who the fuck doesn't love Seize the Day? This song is like an emotional masterpiece. Like, if there was flawless, this is flawless. This is a flawless song. There is zero things wrong with it. I mean, the lyrics can move you to tears because you felt that shit. I mean, I know that it's kind of cheesy, but it yet doesn't come off that way, even though everything about it screams that it should.
But it's the kind of song that takes really cheesy, really overdone lyrics and puts them in a way that's more timeless than it is
like
cliched.
I see my vision burn. I feel my memories fade with time, but I'm too young to worry. A melody, a memory. That's it.
It's that part. It's the hanging and the way that the instrument, like the drums drop off. A melody, a memory. Like,
and then I actually didn't know he said or just one picture till the other day, because you can barely make it out. And then all of a sudden, like, seize the day or die regretting the time you lost. Like it's empty, and then bringing it right into
a love song, but
because if you know what, like, the seize the day is comes from a poem from a dude saying let's fuck. It's the whole point. He's trying to pop a cherry.
But it transcends that, right?
Into this song, which really is basically like, be with me because we need to seize the day, and probably do the same thing that was described in that poem.
And the way the song ends.
Oh my gosh.
The whole build and the whole silence, you've lost me, no chance for one more day. And then, like, where he's kind of screaming in the back, and then there's another vocal track that's going, I stand here alone.
It's honestly, like, I'm feeling a little bit more emotional than I should be on a recording like this. Even just thinking about that part of the song, because he's got questions. Like, it's surprisingly deep shit.
It's really deep shit.
Hold on. Too many people say trials in life, questions of us existing here. Don't want to die alone without you here. Please tell me what we have is real. You go find me one 19-year-old in love and tell me that's not exactly how they would describe that shit. Because we've all, well, if you're older than us or whatever, you've all been at that point in your nuanced, lust-filled relationships of youth. That's exactly what it kind of feels like. Will you take a journey, follow me past the walls of death? But girl, what if there's no eternal life?
Yeah, that line still gives me shivers.
I literally shiver.
I have listened to this song probably in the hundreds of thousands of times. Like, I have overdone this song so much. I'm so sick of it. But when it comes on, I can't turn it off.
I just can't. I mean, it's like, we'll almost suicide pact that shit and meet each other in the afterlife. But wait, Ethel has second.
But again, what used to drive me nuts was the single version of this song had that entire end section cut the fuck down.
Yeah.
Because
it's a necessary
this is a 6-minute song, right? They needed it to be a 4-minute song to put it on the radio. So even the music video. And the music video is cool. Like, it's fine.
the fucking guitar playing on the casket and fucking shit.
It's super over the top. But this is another thing that solidifies this as the perfect metal record, right? Because it's got the perfect power ballad, and you can't have the perfect metal record without the perfect power ballad. Like, Iron Maiden's got Children of the Damned. I would like to just interject. Metallica's got Fade to Black. Sorry.
Let me say just one thing. Most of those power ballads that I've noticed seem to go late in the album. This is the midpoint.
No, they usually go around the middle. Like, Metallica usually puts theirs at track 4.
But this is like track 6 of 11, so it's the exact middle of the album.
Track 4 of 8 or 9.
I haven't listened to that much Metallica.
But listen to more Metallica, because Avenged Sevenfold clearly listened to a lot of Metallica.
Okay, anyway, this song is like a 5 because it's, if you haven't heard
like a 6.
I mean, I don't want to give higher than 5, but like I said, it is the flawless. It's the 5est of the 5s that I put on my 5 list of this album. I mean, I can't say it's the greatest song of all time, but it is one of the greatest songs of all time, in my opinion.
Probably one of the top 5 power ballads of all time, I would say.
And I'd say if you look at like the shit that dropped in the 2000s decade, this is probably one of the most songs that has made me feel the most while listening to it, and I got to give it its credit. You obviously gave it a high 6, 7, or whatever. But
speaking of 7,
Snakes, Sidewinder. Snakes. I love the fact that in their ability... Okay, so I've noticed that the magic of this album is their ability to contextualize a point of view. I did not expect one of them to be a snake. And it's,
but it's the snake.
So
it's
cool.
The snake.
I get it. But like, can't you feel the poison rising? Because keep in mind, I knew like that. That's how I previously sang this song, because I never really cared to learn the words. It was just a lot of blah 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 blah. You know, that's just what I did. So now I'm thinking about this song, and I'm like, can't you feel the poison rising out of the morning and clear through the night? You can feel my strength destroy you straight to the heart from the venomous bite. And I'm like, that is literally that he bit you with his poison, and he's fucking killing you, and he's proud of it, and he's a snake and shit. And I'm like, this is amazing.
But it goes deeper. Like, I can't regret, can't escape.
I know, but we're still at the part where I'm freaking out about the fact that this is a song about a fucking snake told in a way where I relate to the snake. And that is excellent and fucking cool, okay?
And metal as shit.
I'm just saying. And then, yeah, so I love the way that it, like, flips up in the middle, and then that whole crazy... the guitar outro is played in a style known as gypsy jazz, a fast-paced soloing style on the acoustic guitar.
Fun fact, that is Sinister Gates' father playing that clean passage.
Which is, it's so beautiful, dude. Like, the whole part when that happens, it's like, it's fucking gorgeous. Like, this song is, I mean...
This song this one was for the prog fans, right? Like, as much as there's a lot of crazy shit going on the rest of the record, this one is the epitome of just, well, this one and the next one. Because the next one goes pretty deep, too. But I mean, it's the way it starts off with that, like, kind of fading in, like the guitar harmonies coming in, and then it's like heavy as fuck riff, and it goes all over the fucking place again. The way it ends up on that beautiful gypsy jazz, like almost flamenco style, crazy acoustic soloing.
But I love the fact that on top of that, the snake is remorseless. He's just like, I'm a fucking snake. What do you expect? I can't regret. I can't escape. The decision's made for me, no control. Fire that burns but never dies yet. Wrapped around, I'll bury my fangs in snipe. Because in case you didn't know, snakes wrap shit around the victim, crush it, suffocate it, and then eat it. Motherfucking snakes. By the way,
in case you didn't know snakes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm certain somebody's gonna be like, there's a snake. Anyway, fuck off.
Snakes have legs.
But I fucking just dug this one. But, like, to me, this is a little more on the goofier 4.5 instead of 5. It's a really great song. And I really love the end part. Like, the end part to me is like a 6. And the first part to me is a little bit more like a 4. So collectively, we're like in the middle at a 4.5, because that's just where it's at.
The middle of 4 and 6 is 5.
I know, but I'm not giving it that.
And drop it
because it's not as flawless to me as like Seize the Day or some of the other ones. But like again, that end part might be one of my favorite sounds on the fucking album.
I got no shame about the love that I have for all of the songs on this record. And barring only a couple, I think they're all pretty much 5s to me.
That's fine. So there are definitely...
I just have to say, I do have to tell you guys that this is one of, I think, the few records that I can still put on fucking 14 years later and listen to it from start to finish and not want to skip anything.
That's fair.
So this is a 5. It's 5. It's 5.
I get it. I mean, I'm not saying that this is definitely an album without skippables, but some of those people might think that I deserve the wicked end. Okay. So, like, my first note is the songs get longer on this half of the album, and the good part of that is when the song is like a 5-on-5. That's a truly enjoyable experience. We have reached the one song that I was not 100% behind, okay? And that might just be that I haven't listened to it enough or something. Okay. And I'm just stating it. So, like, I love how after the aggressive start, it ends up having all these Disney parts and stuff in the middle. I'm calling them Disney parts. And I love the movie feel of it. And I love the whole, like, general idea of what this song is and how it like fucking plays out. But so if that like cut weird, I got a phone call, like a fucking spam fucking. Do you guys get like those spam fuckers who just auto dial you? It's the fucking worst. And then you get some like end of the world revelation shit that's going on. Like, we have grown in numbers to 666, war breaks, a sign of the end, eternally expelled, look to the sky for knowledge, the stars align tonight, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not like trying to shit on it.
The church is burning.
And like, well, I mean, in general, it's pretty accurate, again, for like how the end of the world is depicted and shit. Dust the apple off, savor each bite, and deep down, you know, Adam was right. Lust and power, indulgence, no fear, left with the sins. How does this end? We won't be here tomorrow. Hold on to me one last time. And you get the sense that, like, it's very much like the sinners, the end of the world. People are just kind of accepting their fate and just going with the worst possible directions of it. But then it explodes into like the Disney part in the middle after, and like you really almost feel like the world is ending and almost being reborn and shit. But then the song actually kind of ends dismally with like the world actually ending and shit. Like, that is just it. So you get the whole Disney part almost building you a sense of hope.
Heavy fucking just like double bass filled ridiculous like crazy riffs going on.
And you know that the comets are falling from the sky and all the other shit. Like, you know.
Like, it sounds like fire and brimstone. They
and
put
like,
that in music.
And like, you're just sitting there like, you had hope for a minute. You have hope in the Disney part that the world isn't going to end, but it does. Now, I think the song is as respectable and as cool as all the other ones insofar as all the elements of it that I liked. I just gave it a 4 because at the end of the day, sonically, it didn't sit as well as the other ones. I don't have a good reason. This is a preference thing.
I will say that for about a year after this album came out, this was the one that took me the longest to be able to listen through. Like, I used to skip it, and then when I finally gave it its due listen, it became like I love it. I love it just as much, if not more, than some of the other songs on the record. Because what I really like about this one is they come in really, really heavy, right? Really, really heavy, but then they take a left turn, and it gets really groovy, and almost like.
And I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I think that this is one of the best examples of like versatility within the same song that appears on the album.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe it is just that I have to sit on it a little bit more than I did, but compared to all the other ones, I just happen to like this one a little less, and that's me.
I can understand that, because like I said, it took me a really long time, and I haven't really given that many songs like this a second chance the way I gave this one the second chance, but I'm glad that I did, because it's just another track that I love from this record now, and I especially we won't be here tomorrow, like, just a big sing-along, and I really like how they can showcase they kind of showcase the lightest they can be and the heaviest they can be on the same track, and it doesn't sound out of place. It doesn't sound forced.
And I mean, like, describing it sounds really cool, and I think it is. Again, preferences.
That's it. But look, y'all know I'm gonna drop another 5 on this motherfucker.
That's okay. And Syd does have the strength of the world. He's on my. Okay. So I found out this one has a story too. And I was like, motherfuck. And apparently it has Western sounds according to Genius.com. I don't know about that. But it's supposed to put you in the vibe of being like a Western.
Yeah.
And you know it a little bit because it starts off with his family and shit getting killed by outlaws. And then the chorus took on a whole new fucking meaning for me when I knew what the song was about.
I've seen my family fade away.
That's the end part. But strength. Well,
that's the chorus.
But the end part of the chorus, strength of the world is on my shoulders. It's by my side, and you got this like feeling. Like, I always thought it was more triumphant and shit, but then I never really listened. So ice in my vein for those who've died, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I've seen my family fade away. You've taken my whole life. There's nothing left to say. That's not true. He said more. He totally said more. Why do people write, there's nothing left to say, and then proceed to write more? Anyway, so it's pure rage and shit in the way that he's delivering lines like, avenge the dead, killed all who cross my path, suicidal, I never plan on coming back, I want it, I need it, revenge dripping from my teeth, need nothing to feel power and bring the killers to their knees.
Nothing.
But then he's like, but like that, he still hasn't done anything yet. He's feeling this now, right?
Yeah.
And then he's by like their graves and he's all pensive and shit. And then he knows that like it's not gonna end, his compulsion and shit. And he goes out. And then the last verse, it's almost like, and it kind of like this him leaving the graves, cutting into the last verse thing is really quick. Like there's not a lot that happens between it. And then all of a sudden he's like really regretful because he's finally killed these people and he's gotten his revenge and he doesn't feel better.
So far from heaven, now alone. A greater punishment on me has been imposed. A killer falling from the light. I miss my family. I'll never be all right. Sorry.
No, but dude, I seriously got like chills with you reading that because that's like when you really think about this track. I'm certain that many people have lived this in the last 100 years easily, forever. This is like, again, this really relatable, interesting perspective piece where, like, I don't know where he draws all of his influences from, but this motherfucker reads some cool shit and talks to some cool people to, like, learn as much as he had to learn to be able to empathize so strongly within the songs. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
This one's a 4.5 for me. The chorus is a little bit much.
It's a little cheesy. This one,
it's like it's a little much.
This one I didn't like as much, and then the second time I saw them, they played it live, and it was amazing because the whole crowd is strength of the world, and that was fun. But I do think this is the one song. This is the one song.
It's like 9 minutes, dude.
It's a little long. It's a little long. There's one solo too many. And they went really over the top with this one, and that's on a record that's already super over the top.
And like when I do my reviews, guys, I listen to the song back to back every time. That means I spent almost 20 fucking straight minutes just sitting here, and I enjoyed those 20 minutes. I'm not trying to say it was unenjoyable.
It's a good song. They really capture that Western feel super well. Like there's the shakers at the beginning that
okay.
You hear the like like it really reminds you of like one of those old Western movies where the credits are going over the beginning and you know that like someone's gonna walk out with a gun and like a really sour look on his face and a hat. Like it's I picture the desert when I hear this song. You know what I mean? And the hooks are great, but the chorus is a little bit cheesy and a little bit whiny.
A little bit.
A little bit. And
enough to 0.5 it.
It's just a little too long. So this is the lowest grade I'm going to give on this record, even though I still think it's a great song.
It
and
is
I'll still
a great
sing
song.
along to it every time.
Same.
But 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, sorry if we betrayed you.
Sorry, guys.
So, again, I didn't know what this song was about till, like, the other day. And, holy shit, is this interesting perspective piece, right? So here is, as you guys all know, putting himself into the mind of the dude who shot fucking Dimebag Darrell. And that is some next level songwriting, in my opinion. And you know he was personally affected by this because of that portion in the song where he's literally pleading to the audience to not kill him, you know? Like there's that whole verse where it's like, look, if we break up and something like that happens, we're here to entertain you. We've been doing this since we were young. Like, take some time to understand that, like, we're not your enemy. Don't kill us. And that was like really heartfelt, and like it really added that credence of like excellence to this song that might have been missing if it was just that, because it wasn't just the perspective piece. It was his reacting to something that was so close to home for him.
The thing about this guy, right, is that he was obsessed with Dimebag Darrell, and he kind of blamed him for breaking up Pantera, which is
the theory.
Stupid.
Apparently nobody's proven that.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read on the internet. Okay. I Googled. Apparently that's the running theory. So at the time that this would have come out, this would have been...
because you keep saying Google, so I got a new phone, guys. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. That's right. We're now OLED Basil is buddies.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I remember Dimebag getting shot, and I remember, like, I got into Pantera afterwards. I enjoyed Damage Plan. I was a kid. I'm sorry. I got into Pantera after Damage Plan and after Dimebag got shot. But, like, I remember discovering Dimebag and discovering songs like Revolution Is My Name and, like, and Cowboys from Hell and Cemetery Gates, and just kind of remembering how sad I was that this band that I had just discovered was never going to release new music again, because this guy had been taken. And I remember all of these bands starting to come out with tribute songs for him. Like Avenged Sevenfold weren't the only one who did it. Nickelback has a really good one called "Side of a Bullet." But yeah, this was just such an interesting way to do it, to take it from the killer's perspective, right? That's not how people do things generally when they're tributing someone. And it's just such a metal way to do it again, but it's heartfelt and deep and honest, and you feel this guy's emotions through this voice.
Yeah, like passion in my eyes, I lived it every day, but how could you go and throw it all away? Talking to Dimebag about Pantera. In my dreams, it's me and you. It's there, I saw it all come true.
As time went by, faith in you grew.
So one thing's left to do. And then when you really think about what that is and what that means, it's like, obviously this guy was so obsessed, at least in the way that,
well, I mean,
the way that they're interpreting the situation is he was so obsessed that he was dreaming about it fanatically, like he was fantasizing, like he was obsessed with it.
And
you know,
you hear his brain kind of break right at the end. It's almost like The Killing Joke. The way he goes, there's so one thing left to finish you, and then you hear this maniacal laughter outroing the song.
But yeah, man,
and the song is super fucking groovy. This is what, and
like if you don't know what it's about, it's an excellent song. But when you realize it's actually about something, it is truly a heartfelt, excellent song. I got it a 4.5. Honestly,
fuck you. This is a 5.
I don't have the same empathy towards Pantera or something, and I do appreciate that this song is really good for what it is, but like I do like a few ones more than this, and I feel like I don't like it as much as the ones I gave 5 to, but I still think it's an excellent fucking song, and it's totally worth listening to. And I spent like an hour learning about Pantera because of this fucking song, and I'm now gonna have to go probably listen to that shit and learn more about Dimebag. And so I think that it's a really excellent tool to even educate in the way that they did it, even if it was obscure and you had to Google after. But anyway, there is one more on this record, and it might be one of my favorite songs on this one.
M.I.A.
So yo, the first time I ever heard "Fight for Honor, Fight for Your Life, Pray to God that Our Side is Right," and this I actually did hear this album back in like 2006 or 7 whenever I heard it. And I mean, at that time, you know, the war in Iraq's still happening, you know what's going on, Bush is still a president, and I'd never thought about the perspective of the soldier in the way that this song put it before, but just those lines, "Fight for honor, fight for your life, pray to God that our side is right." Now go on Facebook and pick a debate and tell me that doesn't apply flawlessly to the ideological war that's happening with everyone right now. Honestly, people are throwing themselves behind all these buckets and shit, and honestly, I feel like it's this giant pray to God that our side's right. You know,
just
like,
those opening lines, just the staring at the carnage, praying that the sun will never rise, living another day in disguise. Like,
I mean, that's the more, I guess, the literal part of it, which I agree with is stellar.
Because the whole thing, right, is that this was around the time that a lot of bands were coming out with protest songs. Like, Marilyn Manson was doing it, Green Day were doing it, like, a lot of major artists were protesting the war and calling Republicans idiots, and anyone who wants to go to war must be just a stupid, dumb Southern American, and there was all sorts of stereotypes going on. And then Avenged Sevenfold come out with this song from the point of view of someone who's fighting to protect his country,
like,
for something he hopes is right. He has no idea if what he's doing is the right thing to do, but I mean, he feels
2 million soldiers can't be wrong.
What?
2 million soldiers can't be wrong,
right? And it's you feel the weight of what he's saying, and just sitting there, like, watching this on the front line firsthand, what he must be thinking, the moral dilemma he's going through. And
some are scared, others killing for fun. I shot a mother right in front of her son. Take this from my consciousness and please erase my dreams. Tell me that, like, tell me that you don't feel something. Like, I don't understand how you can.
Watching the death toll rise, wondering how I'm alive, strangers' blood on my hands, shot all I can. There are no silent nights, watching my brothers all die.
Man, it's no fun. I'm far away from home. I'm fighting your war. not the way I pictured this. I wanted better things. So that's a really interesting line, because it makes you really consider the recruitment campaigns that go into this, the glorification that these young people are just abducted almost into the military with the promises, and they get sent there and have to do atrocious things. And then the way it ends,
right? It's
walk the city, lonely memories that haunt are passing by. A murderer walks your street tonight. Forgive me for my crimes. Don't forget that I was so young, fought so scared in the name of God and country. And I'm like, when you think about the post-traumatic stress disorder and the way veterans are treated and everything that you've ever really seen about this, I mean, this song truly captures the side of a soldier, the side of that, in a way that isn't making them a villain, and it humanizes them. And I wonder if somebody should write a song about the police like that. That's all I gotta say.
But it's the last line is the kind of line that just, the way that this album ends. There are so few albums that can induce shivers, I think, both musically and lyrically, the way this one leaves you off. Like, it's not a happy ending.
It's also not even the first time we're saying that, you know?
No.
But this is different.
There's one other album that does what this one does to me, and it's, again, one of my favorite bands, Protest the Heroes' Fortress. The last line that he just keeps repeating, the silence inside you when the music has stopped. It's the same kind of feeling.
But like, but it's more just you're left with this, like, and I mean, if you consider it, I'm certain that many of the people who listen to their music were really anti-war. When I was younger, I was more radical in my left-wing expressiveness. So hearing that, you get hit with this almost guilt that maybe you've been judging too harshly all along. And I haven't really thought about that in a long time because, you know, I mean, if you really look...
It's important to remember that there's always two sides to every story, and not everything is so black and white on either.
And that's why I think if you just consider the political climate of today, and not maybe the literal soldiers, but the fact that we are all inadvertently soldiers in this war that nobody asked to be involved in, of just opinions almost, this song almost helps me appreciate the other side. Yeah, absolutely.
This is a 5.
I mean, we didn't even talk about the music, but I think this is the one that the first time I heard it, this was the song. This was my favorite. This is my favorite song on this album, like undeniably. Not just like it's a step above everything I've said. Like if the, you know, I Seize the Day can't be a 6 because if anything, this would be my 6.
I can't pick a favorite on this album. I can't do it.
It's just the way that it flips. Even the part where it's like it gallops for like not even 4 bars before flipping out of it, and just all these little cool tricks and shit that they throw into it that they're done in such a hooky way. It's not the same as the other ones where it's over the top. This was meant to hook you, and it hooked me line, sinker, and everything, and it's truly a great experience. And yeah, it is one of the best album closers that I've heard, really.
I mean, on a record like this, look, there are 2 songs that I like a little less, but the rest of them, I have to give this album, honestly, in terms of how much it means to me. Objectively, I think it's a 4.6 probably, or a 4.7, but to me, it will always be a 5.
I respect that.
Because this is the record, and I don't know if I mentioned this during the filming or off camera, but this is the record that I show to people when they ask what heavy metal is to me. This has everything that I think a metal record is supposed to have. It is the blueprint. Does that mean that it transcends and goes and is the best record, one of the best records of all time? No. But it is one of the best hard rock, one of the best metal records, definitely one of the best ones of the last 10 years.
It's also truly incredible about it is that it's approachable to a pop audience that wouldn't feel metal normally. And that's incredible. I actually gave it a 4.65, so like really close to what you objectively think it is. It is one of the highest grades I've given on this channel. It is one of the best albums I think we've covered on this channel. Holy shit. Like what is bad about this? If you don't like metal, it might be a little hard to digest. If you don't like 7-minute songs, fuck you, they're worth it. It's that good. But like this is the exception.
Also, you got to keep in mind, hearing it for the first time, if you've never heard Avenged Sevenfold before, his voice on this record in particular is a little bit grating, just because he had just come off.
But you know what? Okay, so he had just come off the singing lessons.
On the other hand, you can hear the emotion. You can hear him pushing
'Cause,
himself
like,
on every song to the
I don't
next
even,
level.
like,
you
feel-
can hear him evolving.
like-
It's really cool.
I don't hear no just off of singing lessons thing. I know that maybe his voice gets polished as he gets older, like people tend to do. But what I hear is passion and flawless, beautiful, except for the couple of whinier parts. But it's really just pure passion, pure interesting. So many styles, so much diversity. Really like a way to cement your voice into one of those indistinguishable. Like the Kill Switch guy's voice is just so clear, and you know it's him.
I mean, there are two of them, but
Well, those scream. I don't know. I just picture the screamier one, the dark skinned one.
I mean, there have been two people who do that in that band that are both as that.
Whatever. Okay, so whatever. I like Kill Switch sometimes. When I'm younger. Okay, now this is the part where we should end it because I'm clearly going nowhere. So thank you all for watching. We appreciate you being here with us. We're not doing this in the night time. We used to record this in the fucking morning, so we're a little off. It'll take us a minute to get oriented. But thank you for being with us. Appreciate that. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this album, what you think of this review. How do you feel about like the new Avenged compared to this Avenged? Let's get a conversation going. It's super important.
Next week, we're doing another classic.
We are.
So stay tuned for that.
And it's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's one that I know a little better than this one. But we'll catch you then. And thank you for being with us again. Because of you, this show is amazing. Peace.